Good morning, video games. Welcome to Filthy Casuals, a podcast about video games hosted by three very kind and extremely knowledgeable boys. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Tommy Daslow, and joining me as always...
Ben Burnell here, and rounding out the trio, it's Mr.
Adam Noggs. That's me, rounding it out.
Stumped by the mister.
How dare you comment about my shape?
We're all rounding it out, let's be honest.
Yeah, more and more as the years go on.
Hell yeah.
Speaking of comments about shapes, we should say thank you to everyone that came down to sit in a rectangular shaped room and watch us do comedy over the last month. We did our final of 3 weeks of live shows at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. Special guest Stephen Gatesy Gates from Tripod, listener of the show. Buddy of ours, Grammy-nominated video game soundtrack writer.
Yes. Stray Gods.
Stray Gods, the Aussie game. A real meet your idols, and they turn out to be really nice situation for me. Tripod was like, for overseas listeners, just huge. One of the most iconic Australian comedy groups.
For like our age group as well, especially.
Big
like
time.
if you were teenagers around then, it was real like, wait, comedy can be this?
Yeah. We started sort of gently needling him a bit, and then it got less and less gentle, and at one point he went, you know what, yesterday I was really looking forward to this.
He played into it very well.
We should get him on an actual ep at some point because he's like, as we talked about in the ep, video game stuff has always been an influence on Tripod's work from like back in the early days, and as he said to me, before it was profitable, just when it was something that they liked and they thought other people might like, there wasn't like this is an actual audience that you can tap into. It was just like, let's put a Donkey Kong thing in there because that's cool.
That'd be good. Play Interstate 76 before it comes on.
Yes, he talked about how he really likes that game. He also gifted us a SNES, an actual SNES from back in the day with a what's it called, a UFO?
Yeah,
it's
olden days floppy disk adapter, basically.
A bootlegger.
Yes.
SNES hooch.
Yeah. And he left us some big old moonshine bottles too.
Yeah, he gave us a big old the floppy disk I could picture, and someone mentions the floppy disk. I feel like they come up as like a joke reference from time to time.
They're still the icon for saving and all,
Yes. But something I truly had not thought of in such a long time was the floppy disk box holder.
Yeah, the clear plastic lid. Oh my God.
Yeah.
The Rolodex of games.
That weird like grey-brown see-through plastic that only existed for like Rolodexes,
Totally.
floppy disk holders.
Real 80s, 90s shit.
Yep.
I was in heaven.
The lock on there.
Yeah.
But then it's clear plastic on the top. I want it safe, but I want to be able to see all the discs at all times.
You can't get it exactly this.
I can only see two of the labels, so I can't tell what's really in there without opening it up, but I can tell the volume that's in there.
You could shake it around and get them to fall forwards. I feel like I might have done that in the past.
That, I believe, is currently in my sister's car boot.
Yes, because it was very heavy, and I was going out and seeing some shows after that.
To make it 30 years to us and then melt in a car boot.
She got to crack the boot a little bit on a hot day.
Well, this has been passed from Gatesy, previously owned by Brett Wheeler, basketballer.
Yeah, NBL star.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I'm thinking about how to rig this thing up, and Knox, I've already expressed this to you, but I've been fully Knox pilled. I was on eBay looking up CRT televisions because I'm like, well, I could use an adapter or I could just go full authentic.
I think I have an old adapter thing you can take, but the authentic, nothing beats it.
Yeah.
The hum of the CRT, the weight and the space it takes up, the inconvenience is part of the joy.
That's the main thing is I don't know where I would put it, but I don't know.
You've got to... If you tell your partner and fiance, like, I'm starting a museum...
They're the same person, by the way.
Allegedly.
I just want that clear.
This is a museum to, 90s games, 90s culture. That's why I've got all this other shit in here that you already were angry about.
Yes.
To be fair, if
I'll start charging, ticket fees.
Yeah.
If I
to
was
view it.
someone's fiance, they were like, by the way, I'm opening a museum in our house.
Yeah.
I would be like, no, you're not.
Well, that's the difference between you and me, or at least you and the ideas I'm suggesting.
Despite my musty demeanor, I do not want to live in a museum. What about at night? Then what do we do when they all start having conflict and coming along?
Oh, yeah. But we thank you to everyone who came down. It was great
Yeah.
to meet a bunch of you, especially the person we met at the end of the last show that we did, who was telling us that she found this show by accident.
Yes.
Doesn't play video games, and because of this show, got into other stuff that our friends do on YouTube and Twitch, and met a lot of people through their similarly
It's the
chill
perfect-
gaming ecosystems.
Perfect type of marketing that you want to hear as being effective. The pure random chance.
Yeah.
Not word of mouth. That's the least effective.
Well, and she was telling us that she bought a Switch as a result of this show, and she was kind of telling us about sort of getting into some games and sort of basically learning to play games because of this podcast, which does make me think. When she says she found this by accident, what was she looking for?
Well, she clearly typed filthy in.
Well, yeah.
And then, space bar, and then what happens next is anyone's guess.
Mm-hmm. She was covered in dirt. There were dust clouds, pigpen style, floating around her. So
No, that was really nice to hear. Great to see everyone. Thanks for coming to shows.
Obviously we met a bunch of other people that we'd not met before after the previous shows as well, and it's always so nice, and the vibes of those shows are so much fun. It's great to know that people literally in real life enjoy us saying dumb
we had a couple of fashion reports.
Games.
We had a young gentleman who told us that he'd been listening since he was 12 years old.
Yes, that was Toby, I believe. Shout out to Toby.
Just to be clear as well, they weren't recorded. They're for the
That's
people
why
in the
we're
room.
recapping them.
Yeah.
But so just if anyone's wondering where they can find them, Time Machine.
Yeah.
You had to be in the damn room.
That's
and
right.
if you were in that room, well, boy, what a treat for you.
Yes.
Hey.
It was uncensored.
Speaking of time machines,
Ooh.
H.G. Wells?
Austin Powers?
we could go with it either. But I was just going to say, if you had one, you could go forward in time to check.
Ooh,
if,
Back to the Future style.
There were like these, and we're not big Fortnite people. We've done some stuff with it, and I think respect that game more than we did. There was a point where understanding of it changed.
Yeah.
Billie Eilish is the next musical act they doing a concert, and there was a leak that contained like a future plan for Fortnite content that went out. The first of those being Billie Eilish, which has now been proven correct.
Right.
So there was a bunch of stuff on it. You can look it up if you want, but the ones that interested me the most were the musical acts that are allegedly upcoming.
Yep.
They're written on the board, so don't look.
Oh, okay.
But who would you guess if you were thinking Fortnite music acts? Maybe that'd be a fun...
Metallica.
Fuck you. All right,
I already looked when you said don't look.
I didn't look. I mean, I looked up, but I can't see it from here.
You're in the hardest position to not look, I'd have to say.
Yeah. And yet...
was able to easily restrain.
How many
every-
more are there to guess? So Metallica's on the board.
Two after that.
Okay.
Metallica, one of them I'd not heard of.
All of them on the board are people I would never guess.
So
Really?
you've
As
seen
being
all
in
of them.
Fortnite.
Yeah.
Elvis.
No.
That would be cool.
He would never be, but that makes sense as well. He's been around in the media.
Yeah.
Elvis is coming back. There's that guy, I forget what his name. He's like in the country at the moment. He's an American guy who's really popular, and he's doing
necromancer?
He's doing kind of like an Elvis throwback thing. So it's
okay.
it's kind of come around into being like a
Right.
you know.
Give me a clue. Give me some clues.
I'm just going to tell you because you won't get them. There's a million music artists. Carol G is after that. I don't know who that is.
Don't know who that is.
But then after
but
that
I was going to guess that.
And then it's Snoop Dogg himself.
Oh, I did see that on the board before, and I wondered why, and then immediately forgot it.
Snoop Dogg makes a ton of sense because I think he plays games on Twitch as well, and also just fits the vibe.
And he's dabbled in hologram stuff, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Metallica makes sense a year and a half ago or whatever when Stranger Things was big.
Yes.
And I could see they've got this younger fan base now.
Yeah. True.
It does make sense for them to go in. I don't know enough about anything about Karol G, but there's a bunch of other stuff, and one of the other bits and piece, another bit or piece.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's decide. You tell us, and then we'll decide it. We'll give the ruling on whether it's a bit or a piece.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's sort of separate to this leak. A guy who used to be one of the heads of the Fortnite studio was explaining how... Remember when like Kratos and Master Chief were in Fortnite? Mm-hmm. They wanted to get a Nintendo character too, and they were talking with them about Samus, but Nintendo was very, very strict about the idea that if Samus is going to be in it, which they're open to, she has to only be on the Switch version of Fortnite, which they were like, that's not how it works.
Oh,
and they talked about some other characters, couldn't get past it, and Nintendo was like, not doing it if it appears anywhere else.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a piece.
I think it's a piece. It's
I think
reporting.
it's a piece.
Yeah, it's a piece.
A bit.
It's a piece to camera, yeah.
If it had ended up, if the news was Samus is going to be in Fortnite, that's a bit. But this didn't. This not
Really?
happening. It's a piece.
Okay.
A bit is to me. A bit is substantial news. A piece is like, an interesting little tidbit. This
I
tidbit.
think it's exactly the opposite, as proven by your use of the word tidbit.
Fuck! I knew it as soon as it
Yeah.
came out. I was like,
You fucking
God! I've
got
handed him the
yourself
gun. I've
there.
handed him the loaded revolver.
He's
here.
gone back for his hat.
A bit is small, a piece is big.
I think so too.
And that's just what makes sense to me.
Like, I think this is a bit that people are playing heaps of Fallout again.
Yes.
Fallout's at the top of the
Fallout's
charts.
back.
Yep.
It's selling well.
Yep.
Like there's nothing like it's obvious why. Because it's a good game.
And
End
it's
of
just
bit.
like, oh yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I finished watching that show.
Oh, yeah?
Fallout.
Which
I
show?
enjoyed it.
Oh,
I got in there quick to make
Yeah.
sure you can
Fallout.
do like.
yeah.
And
BoJack
then
Horseman.
what did you do?
I saw a thing about because has there been like a rumored remake or remaster of 3 for a while now? Like I just
Maybe
basically
so.
saw a thing about how it's kind of dumb that they didn't like make sure that they had something like ready to go to cash in off this. Which I mean, people are just buying the old ones anyway, so it kind of doesn't. Doesn't
And
matter.
76 is still technically an ongoing
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
So
Which also, has shot up in numbers, which it was such a flop early on.
Yeah.
It's surprising that it has become, and I think in the past 2 or 3 years, it sort of rejuvenated its reputation a bit.
I'm interested. I kind of want to give it another go, a go, and I've heard reports it's fixed, but it's always with that sort of thing. Like, well, of course, the people who are still enjoying it and playing it think it's fixed because they didn't have enough of a problem with it to stop anyway.
Yep.
So
Yeah. But I think as with the other games, it's on sale on various platforms. I think it's like super cheap on Steam. So.
I totally agree as well that like, how has there not been a push from Microsoft, who now owns Bethesda? And I know they're meant to be fairly hands off with the studios they bought and whatever, but like New Vegas was developed by Obsidian, a separate thing who Microsoft also now owns.
Yeah.
I know they're working on that Avowed game, but like get someone else in there to make a New Vegas equivalent.
Yeah.
Take the Fallout 4 stuff, gussy it up a bit, or take Starfield, whatever,
Right.
and make a spin-o for the season 2 that's already been confirmed.
Because a lot of
that's
people
it, right?
kind of
Yeah.
interacting with it now who had never played the games before, and the show.
The
one
show
of the
does
big
such
things
a great job of capturing the games.
People are
right?
liking it who've never played the games before, so it's like you've got people right there, and like if the most recent big one, like single player one, is like what 8 years old?
2015?
15.
Yeah.
It was right
Yeah.
at the start of us doing this podcast.
Yeah.
9 years.
9 years
ago.
old.
So not immediately,
I was
not like top of
22.
the Steam page or
28.
top of the East store or whatever.
26.
Yeah. But they all are now because they've been selling, like they're just, hey, we're
29.
the top selling game.
It goes
So-
Helldivers 2 and then
Yeah.
Fallout.
Did you keep watching the show, Tommy?
No.
Did I keep watching the show?
Yes.
No.
Oh.
I watched the start of episode 5 and was like, this is an absolutely fine show, but there's better shows that I have not seen that I want to watch.
I was for the purposes of like feeling like we should watch it for this. I was like, this is not a punish
Not at all.
way to spend 3 hours.
Yeah.
But I haven't really been compelled to finish it off. I
Yeah.
have to say.
And like everyone else I've spoken to who's watched it has basically been like, I love this show.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think as like the show being Fallout 5, it's great.
Right.
Right.
Like all the stuff that's happening in that show is exactly the tone of the games, which is crazy because the tone is so weird.
Yeah.
And so like offbeat, and it involves humor and shit so much that it could easily be ruined. But I think they like nailed the show from my perspective. And there's like bits, especially towards the end, minor spoiler warning. But there's a bit
Hot Wheels spoiler.
in the
Hot Wheels car spoiler.
Yeah, I guess that's a pretty small spoiler.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a bit in like the 5th or 6th episode or something where an event happens that kind of triggers the main Fallout theme since 3. They're like, to play, and it fucking got me.
Yeah, okay.
They had me cackling.
Oh,
It just
they
is-
had me hooting and hollering.
They had you acting the fool.
I was launched into space.
Wow.
It just, I love that sort of shit.
Yeah.
Did we talk on here about, I don't know if we ever discussed the Borderlands trailer that came out
No,
not all that long ago.
We saw like the photos and then they put the trailer out the next day.
I don't know if we talked
Yeah.
about the. I don't remember talking about the trailer. Was it
fine.
maybe while we were away? But I don't know. It looks like it could be all right.
Yeah, I think it was better than I was expecting.
Yeah.
But not necessarally good. So
Only a
And
short-
featuring Jack Black as the robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only a short trailer, like a Hot Wheels trailer as well, but a couple of
that's
other
a
trailers.
terrible joke.
A couple of other.
Vern Troyer getting ready to go out and act.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's in his little trailer.
He's in his little trailer.
Rest in peace,
The
I think.
2 other trailers that came out during the week.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you saw the one for I think it went up early on like IGN or something, and then but Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is coming out. They're saying it's gonna be big.
Ooh.
The opposite of a Hot Wheels. They keep saying this is a cold square,
Oh.
which I guess is the opposite of a Hot Wheel.
Yeah.
If you want to think about it.
It's hard to
No,
think
I-
of the opposite of a wheel.
Yeah,
A
that's
an
exactly
axle?
it. Because a square.
Or the universe.
A square could be a wheel. I always get like that with opposites, where like cold isn't the opposite of hot.
No.
Because they're both temperatures. So the opposite of hot would be like a chair or a goblin or
Yeah,
whatever.
or a rug.
Yeah.
So, like, rug.
Like what's the least like a temperature? A foot?
Yeah.
There's a chair over there and a
but
foot
that's hard
over
because
here.
everything has a temperature.
Okay, what's something that doesn't
everything-
have a temperature? A black hole?
Well, a vacuum, I guess,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
super cold,
Dyson.
technically.
And then the opposite of a wheel.
A Dyson.
Also a Dyson.
Also a Dyson.
A Dyson.
Yeah. I never played Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Yeah.
But it was like a real, it was a life sim, right? It was
Kind of.
It was an RPG. It was a combat kind of thing, but it was very like living, breathing world. You got to fucking do every single action is very manual and very considered and like true to physics and stuff like that.
Sort of. It's just I found it to be kind of just a boring open world game.
Yeah,
was,
okay.
was how that sort of presented itself to me. I only played it for a bit, but it didn't capture me at all. But have another go.
Something
Yeah.
about the title Kingdom Come Deliverance is already so clunky that having a 2 on the end there just looks really stupid.
Why wasn't it just called Kingdom Come? And well, maybe I've answered my own question.
But it's
And then the
funny.
sequel could be Kingdom Post Nut Clarity.
Yeah.
Oh god,
Yeah.
shouldn't have fucked that night. If Kingdom Come something else though would make sense.
Right.
Like how when
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, even though it's a prequel, and they didn't and there was Red Dead Revolver, which is sort of different, but
They
Red
could have
Dead
called it Red Dead
Revenge or
yeah.
Revolution or whatever. And also a like 20-something minute presentation about Metaphor ReFantazio.
I forgot about this. I didn't watch this yet.
I didn't want to watch the whole thing because
Sure.
I want to play this game.
Yeah.
Skimmed through it. Looks great.
Yeah,
It really is looking
absolutely.
good. That art style is bloody beautiful, mate.
The one big thing from the trailer that really got me hooting and hollering,
Yes.
barking like I've just seen Jessica Rabbit.
Jackpot eyes.
Yeah. Cha-ching. My tongue comes out and it's money.
Yeah.
So it's an open world sort of more so than Persona.
Yep.
Similar thing of like a zoomed out 2D map
Yep.
where you're choosing which bits to go to. But when you go between them, you have this huge like walking tank thing that is also your base, and it runs between the different destinations, and you spend time on there. That's your little house with a kitchen.
That's your base.
Right.
That's your
You're
cafe.
Hanging out. You go out on the balcony and you're running past towns.
Fuck me
Oh.
And
up.
the whole thing is like gong, 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 gong. Like,
Howl's Moving Castle style.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, because who's the guy who I remember in the last big trailer for it when they like showed one of those bastards and they had all the credits coming up and it was like vehicle designed by the guy and it was like specifically said by the guy from it was either like Attack on Titan or Neon Genesis. Like he's done something,
Some mecha guy, like a
something
Gundam
of
guy or
something of
something.
note before.
Yeah.
and like spent a chunk of it being like, we love making menus. Here are our cool menus. We
Absolutely.
think we're the best in the game.
I keep
They
seeing all
are.
these like
they really are.
Yeah.
I keep seeing all these like things come up for like like leaks that are happening about what Persona 6 might be, and one of them was like, you know how every one of them has like a color. It was like apparently 6 is going to be green. It's like, well, I mean, a leaker has said this. It's like, well, I mean, there's 5 of them already. You can just pick one of the remaining colors that's left, and you got what haven't they done yet? Green and purple,
and it's not going to be like taupe or whatever.
Yeah.
What color is taupe?
Oh, I think it's a purple.
It sounds purple.
Or a brown. I don't know.
There's a couple of them where their name doesn't fit the color.
Yeah,
like maroon, perfectly named.
Yeah,
that's maroon. Teal is like blue-green. I don't know exactly where in the spectrum.
It's between blue and green.
Yeah. But one of them, like, is it, like, cyan doesn't sound particularly yellow.
Yeah.
It's not. It's light blue.
Light blue.
Yeah.
There's
Fuchsia.
one that doesn't sound right. I don't remember what it is.
Burgundy?
October
No, Burgundy.
11th. That's when it's coming out.
But yeah,
Nice.
I don't want a brown Persona.
Oh, it
No,
could be
thanks.
fine. If
No.
I think so.
Nah.
Like a leathery brown.
Yeah.
And it's like a medieval Persona maybe or something like that.
No, that's not Persona. That's Metaphor ReFantazio.
Yeah, true.
I could get into it.
What colors are Metaphor ReFantazio? It's like what? Blue and red and
Whole spectrum,
pink and
baby.
Yeah.
great.
Like as you're going but down again, this is so like granular or whatever, but I love it. As they were flipping through the menu options, you've got like this sort of scratchy color behind it that's like animating behind it.
Yeah,
and that
sick.
color changes as you go through. So
Oh,
it's like
God.
rainbow.
Oh shit.
That's a great job to pitch for. I want to know. I just want an interview with that guy. The
UI?
menu department.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if that's its whole just own
It is.
department.
It is.
They're just like working around the clock on just like fonts, background colors.
Yeah.
That's absolutely what they're doing.
But yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait
With their
to.
fucking weird twisted clocks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Look really cool, and like the hand goes back a little bit before moving to the next hour.
Oh,
to
yeah.
really make it whip over.
It's a nightmare of a workday in that office, but you know.
But yeah, looking forward to fighting a bunch of dancing broomsticks.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then you'll play Metaphor ReFantazio.
One thing you can't fight is entropy. The
Oh, man.
endless
God, it's so true.
the endless decay that the universe is based around.
Yes.
And entropy has hit Little Big Planet 3. The servers went down in January for some reason because there was like a security vulnerability or something like that, I believe. And Sony's come out and been like, "Oh, we're not going to put them back up. That's dead now."
Yeah, that game's how old's that game?
Not that old. It was a PS4 game. I think it was on the PS3 and 4, so probably around 2013, 14.
Right.
Adam, that's over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's not that old.
Feel old yet?
You see a 10-year-old kid and be like, "Damn, that kid's old." No,
That
that's
kid's
a young
lived a
kid.
life. Shut him down.
My servers ain't working no more.
Yeah, I can't.
But if the last time I saw a kid was when they were 10 and they're now 20, I'm not going to be like, "Oh yeah, it's basically saw you yesterday." Not that much time has passed.
True.
That's true, but also you wouldn't shut him down, you know? Kill the kid because, like, nah.
Well, sure. This is where we're getting into dicey territory with
You
the mixed
started it.
metaphor.
Wait, no, maybe I started it. But either way, it's another one that's down, same as we talked about The Crew last week, which, we didn't spend as much time talking about how they revoked licenses from people, which is a separate level of, like, damn, I don't own it at all. But at the same time, I do think that not being able to play it is the same as not owning it. So even if you have a digital license for it still, even if you have a copy that they haven't stolen from your house, you can't fucking use it for anything.
Right.
So kind of much of a muchness to me.
Yeah.
In a way, even though like legally they shouldn't be able to just yank your thing that you fucking bought away from you. So yeah, that's a shame. Little Big Planet 3, obviously a very online focused game.
Yeah, all that collaborative stuff and the levels
Gone.
and shit.
And people didn't have warning. They would have done a probably similar thing to Super Mario Maker where people, did a fun thing of trying to get through all of them. And they'd all be recorded on the internet for the
I've been wanting to play through it again. So, I'll prioritize that. I'll make sure I get one last little squeeze out of it.
Be able to like download them to have them to upload onto some, and I know Sony doesn't care about this, but like some custom server in the future or whatever, but no, it's dead.
Yeah. It's like when all those shows got took off, taken off, various streaming services that have done it, where it's like, it went for one season, and I guess it makes sense for us financially for like future tax stuff to just take it off and delete all the files.
Which is crazy.
It's
when it's
insane.
something that they commissioned,
Yeah.
not making any more. Okay, I can understand that. but it's like it's your thing.
Yeah.
It's not going to live anywhere else if you...
Like Willow.
Yeah,
was one of them,
that's the one I remembered. Yeah, it's like, and they're not putting stuff out on physical media, so it's like, well, okay, that doesn't exist anymore.
Well,
unless you torrented it and have it on a hard drive.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of taking these kinds of matters into your own hands, we talked about this the other week. The EU made a ruling, and the floodgates are open, baby.
Mm-hmm.
There are emulators on the App Store.
Yeah,
It's a brave new frontier. If you're someone who really wants to play this kind of stuff and for whatever reason has never bothered to look into it on any other platform available to you, well, then now is your chance.
And lots of people are in that boat, it seems, because Delta, which is like the first sort of big one that's like hit hard on there, is like top of the paid apps, free apps sort of thing. There is apparently nothing in there that at this point in time legally could force it to be taken down by primarily Nintendo, who would be the most likely to do it, because I think it's mostly Nintendo's systems that are being
Anytime you
emulated
see
in
this
that
kind
way.
of stuff get like publicized, it is always like seems to be Nintendo's stuff of
Game
a
Boy
certain era that is at
specifically,
the forefront. Like
Yeah.
now you can play Super Mario World on your phone.
a lot of DS stuff and whatever. And like the ROM's still not available on there, but like it's easy to add them in if you were going to do that.
I think it just links to your Google Drive or
You
whatever.
can put them on your phone.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Oh, right.
It's they're super simple for the layman.
So that's why they're legal, because they're literally just like a framework in which to launch ROMs.
It's all their own code. So that's like the biggest thing about emulators is that you can't use anything that was in like the BIOS or whatever of a PlayStation.
Sure.
And so some emulators rely on having a BIOS that you also have to acquire through other means.
Right.
And they go, we don't provide this, but hey, you probably would be able to find it.
Right.
Speaking of, there was also a thing this week where some people took that leaked source code of GTA 5 and got it running on a Switch. Some like modders, because it was just out there.
It makes sense. It was a
Just
360 game.
Just as a pet project.
Yeah.
Well, let's make a Switch version of this just for ourselves.
I'm surprised they haven't now that you mention it as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Done it themselves. Because that game's huge and it would absolutely run on there.
Yeah, and they can scam some fucking shark bucks out of some kids.
Yeah.
Some kiddies.
Get them kids.
Yeah.
Their
Get
parents are
Samus
where
in
the
there.
money is.
Get Samus in there. Get the credit card up there.
Yep.
There was also a thing of, I forget his name, Stephen Ogg, I think is the guy who played Trevor in GTA 5.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And he had already recorded a bunch of stuff for a single player DLC that they obviously never released.
Huh.
About called like Trevor James Bond or something, where he was going to do some spy mission.
Funny stuff. 0069.
Oh,
That-
brother.
Does not sound wrong. And they'd recorded that, and obvious, so big point of proof for the pivot to oh shit, the online is kicking off.
Yeah. Caught them by
Player
surprise.
Damn, that's a shame. What was he in? He was in some live action thing.
He was in Breaking Bad once.
Yes, I think that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Fuck, he was that was a great performance in GTA 5.
Big time.
Such a distinctive character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a shame.
Or he was in Better Call Saul, actually. Not Breaking Bad.
Same thing.
Yeah, they're about the same.
Same universe.
The Badaverse.
Yeah.
The Albuquerque verse.
Albuquerque, I believe, is actually a Weird Al song. Might have just been called Albuquerque.
There's a guy who was just out here for the comedy festival who is from Albuquerque.
Yeah.
And he, in his blurb, he was like, "Oh yeah, he's a comedian. He's appeared at these festivals, and he's from Albuquerque." Brackets. The setting of Breaking Bad.
Hell yeah.
It's like, wait, you're a performer and you live there and you don't even have like a background role credit. You're just like going to say like, oh, hey, I love the setting of, boy, I can't wait to see a guy do comedy with a persona that was cooked up on the same streets as those weird characters.
I drove past the house once.
I've done a Hollywood stars homes tour, so I'm basically 1 degree of separation away from Bob Barker.
We were never in Underbelly. Not even Underbelly Razor.
Yeah.
No.
So rich of you to talk.
But Tommy's not putting
I'm not. Yeah.
from
Melbourne,
From Melbourne.
Underbelly.
the
home
setting
of
of
Underbelly.
Underbelly. Yeah. Well, if Weird Al's song was just called Albuquerque, you could do a parody version of that called Albuquerque.
I did put a TV show.
Finally.
Yeah.
My launch pad.
I did put I had filmed a thing in a TV show that hadn't gone to air yet, and the comedy festival was coming up, so I put As Seen on my poster because I was under the understanding that it was going to be on between then and the festival, and then they cut the segment and it never went to air, so it just looked like I just made up it, just lied about being on a show on my poster.
I've definitely played up, like, I don't think if you're an extra, you really get to put from this.
Yeah.
But who's checking?
I mean, you put As Seen on the project, it's like, I got interviewed on there once.
Yeah.
For like 3 minutes. Who
As
cares?
seen on the project when they were doing like one of those obesity stories and they filmed people from the neck down. Speaking of eating, what is Life Eater?
Oh, okay. Life Eater is a brand new indie game. It came out on the 16th of April, 2024.
Okay.
It's a week old. Not brand new.
But we're recording this on the 17th.
Yeah, but if it was a chicken sandwich, it'd be fucking off by now.
If it was a young boy, I'd be shutting it down.
Yeah.
Like, nah, too old. Shut the servers down.
Shut this bitch down. It's popped up on Steam. It was a recommendation from a friend of the show, Ruby Innes. All over the indie games is Ruby, and this kind of game I've not really seen before. So the setup is you are a psycho.
Two-dimensional character walking from the left to the right of the screen. You've
No.
got to jump on platforms.
Man, there's no platforming in this game.
Oh, okay, fuck. You're going to have to explain it then. You're a psycho.
Yeah, you're a psycho. You think that you are like the acolyte of a god.
Okay.
This god is talking to you in your head, and it's saying, you got to sacrifice a person for me. But you got to make sure it's the right person.
And you listen to the voice in your head once a week, so you think it's your best friend.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you can get online and call it gay and bully it.
Yeah. And that's the game.
Yep.
No, it's you're getting these messages from this god, and it's just sort of presented. These bits are like they are 2D, but it's just like still frame.
Fuck, we got him.
A still
We got
frame
him.
cutscene, not interactive. And there's like just a couple, especially at the start. It's just like, hey, you're a crazy guy. This god's telling you to do this stuff, and then it goes boom into the interface, and you are looking at basically like a daily calendar planner. So you've got and it's like basically in at least the first day, you got one person. You don't have much information about them. You got like a name and maybe their age. And then to the right of that is like, a timeline of the day, broken up by half hours.
Yeah.
And your goal is to click on these little segmented parts of their day, which are sort of like randomly broken up into like size and stuff or length of time. And you will like click on one that is like a static, fuzz. You don't know what it is. When you click on it, you're given 3 options of how to approach this. Level 1, level 2, level 3. I think it's increasing in difficulty. And then each one has like a time required to do this task next to it. So one of them will be like ring their doorbell, half an hour. And then the next one might be like...
Fucking hell. Standing outside, be like, I'm pretty nervous, actually. We'll just text them that I'm outside.
Just pressing the button in as slowly as you can to really eat up that whole half hour.
Well, you've got... it's the 15 minutes of waiting outside beforehand, the 15 minutes afterwards.
A little bit of car time.
The second one might be like an hour and a half, install a microphone under their veranda or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Gathering information about this person.
Exactly. Gathering information. The third one might be hacking into their computer or whatever. And you'll do it. There's like a chance. There's a kind of random chance of whether you'll pull it off or not. But it seems like to me, and it's not like fully, completely explained, the ones that easily fit into the amount of time in the bracket of time you're like going for are more likely to be completed.
Yeah.
And so you're doing this, and as you do it, you are revealing information about them and sort of making them more susceptible to being abducted by you.
Yeah. So, like, if you ring their doorbell, you'll know what their face looks like. If you hack their computer, you'll know, like, where they're going to be at 5 p.m. or something, maybe.
It's not always that direct. Sometimes it's like you'll ring their doorbell and then it'll be like... Well, so I guess maybe this is a direct example. It'll be like you ring their doorbell at, like, 8 a.m. and they're asleep. Mm-hmm. And so you're like, okay, well, I know. And then maybe that bracket of time was, like, 8 hours or whatever. So you know, like, oh, they get more than 8 hours sleep a night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just like little facts like that.
Okay.
The next one, like you might find out what hair color they have. You might find out if they live with someone or whatever. So you're piecing this information together. You kind of have to remember it yourself. There's not like a tracking thing or anything like that.
Okay.
And then you will get to a point where you've uncovered enough information to attempt to abduct them. And then when you do that, you're presented with like a ritual screen, which is just... organs in the human body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And there'll be
Liver,
sort of...
kidneys, lungs.
What else?
Heart, bladder.
No.
Attached to your belly button. Did you know that? I didn't
Excuse me?
fucking know shit about this. Your bladder is directly attached to your belly button.
Why can't I piss out my tummy then?
You can't?
It's... Yeah.
Where did you find that out, by the way?
And how?
Book. Reading.
It's... You don't get all of them. You get like... The heart is sort of like, you know, the big ritual target.
Yep.
And you've got like lungs, ribs, pancreas, small intestine, big intestine. I think that's about it.
Okay.
But
You
then,
just remove a set of ribs and then send them back on their way. That's what this cult is all about. Yeah.
yeah,
The cult of self-pleasure.
yeah. Marilyn Manson is the dark
The
god.
acolyte.
Yeah. But it'll have like sort of like information around it of like if this victim lives alone, remove their small intestine. If this victim gets more than 8 hours sleep a night,
I see.
remove ribs 1, 2, and 7. Like
So you're hoping to get this all right based on what you've learnt from the monitoring of the little segments of the day.
exactly right.
Okay.
Cool.
But
This is like those riddles where it's like, Stephen is older than Rebecca,
Yeah.
but not as old as Timmy. And when Timmy's older, he'll be Rebecca.
yeah.
It's,
Like, wait, that doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense. But you know what I mean? There's 3 people, and
yeah.
he'll be Rebecca's age in
It's,
3 years.
Timmy's 10 years old, but in 10 years...
We'll shut him down.
Yeah. It's like a 2D platformer.
yeah, pretty much. I should have just agreed at the start, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'll do that based on... And I think it's... Again, it's not making all of this explicit, but I think from what I can tell, there is a limit of how much information you get. So you're like, all right, well, all I know is that they're blonde, they live alone, and they have a commute to work. So I'll do the 3 things that says.
Yeah.
And then you go like, boom, do the ritual, knife stabs into the heart, fade to black, and then it'll either be like, you fucked up, start again, and you'll just have to start that entire day again, or you got it right. They were abducted. We move to the next chapter, and you get another cutscene, and it starts to reveal more information about whoever you are. You've got this captive guy that you haven't killed for some reason who's like talking to you, and this sort of very vague story starts to play out in between these
And
segments.
if you get like, say, 3 out of 10 of the organ questions right, is there like a minimum amount you need to get, or is it?
I don't know,
Okay.
but it seems like I think I've tried to get at least 3 each time, and it seems to have worked.
All right.
And then also while you are doing these daily, monitoring sort of tests, you can fuck up to the point where you've been rumbled and you also fail that way. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of ways that you can fuck this up. But yeah, it's very similar to a lot of games we've played over the past few years. It's like deductive reasoning and a bit of risk and a bit of chance and a bit of, connecting the dots.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool.
Sounds
it's
cool.
Very, very simple. Like that is all there is to it.
A little puzzle game.
But nice
Yeah.
little puzzle game. I've been playing it for a few hours. I think I've got through maybe... and they start to add multiple people that you have to figure out which one's right and stuff like that.
yeah, that's, yeah.
And yeah, I think I've done sort of maybe 4 or 5 of those sort of like sessions. And it's continuing, so I don't know. Yeah, it's at least a few hours long.
Does it have much of like it doesn't sound like it has much of like a story through line so much as like a tone vibe more.
There's something going on with like you, and yeah, you have this captive who you like, you're not one of the ones I was meant to sacrifice, so I guess I just have to keep you here because if you leave, you'll tell people. So there's a bit of a dialogue that goes on between you and that character in between these.
Yeah.
but there's not like a plot.
Cool.
But yeah, that stuff is also good and well written, and I'm involved.
This
I'm
sounds
invested.
cool.
Yeah.
Life Eater.
Life Eater.
Don't know what it's on. It's definitely on Steam. Wouldn't surprise me if it's only on Steam because it is very clicky. So
Yeah.
I was clicking around.
Oh yeah.
For a bit. Well, and then I was using a controller.
Oh shit.
I love to mix it up, dude.
I had a good one, but
Hey, by all means.
no, I insist.
I refused.
Well, I've been having my life eaten up by a game that I've been playing.
Oh, that is pretty good.
That's way better because I did play the majority of my game with a controller.
Were the buttons clicking on the controller?
I'd call it more of a thud or a thock or something like that.
Yeah, just a press.
Not so much of a click.
Well, you got in first, Knox, so
Yeah.
you can go.
All right. This game is like 3 hours long.
Okay.
It's on Game Pass.
It's a 2D platformer.
It is a 3D walk arounder. It's called Botany Manor. And you are it. I really liked it.
Okay. I have heard of this game.
It's a walk around puzzle game.
Yeah.
You know, find objects and mix them to do things. You've got a series of flowers. You're in an 1890s English, I think you're in Somerset.
Oh yeah.
Like manor, and you're walking around this place with a journal that you have of different flowers you want to make grow. You're
Okay.
just like
This old broad, right?
not how I'd have put it. I'd say you're a 55-year-old woman.
Oh, that's not that old. I was led to believe it was an old broad.
So that's the sort of shit that a lot of the people are saying to her back in the 1890s. So have a good long hard look at yourself.
Hey, get me in that time machine.
G'day, toots.
There's this really good like story through line in it where it's delivered a lot through picking up letters that are around the house and old correspondences. But you're this woman who's had like a lifelong interest in botany, a lot of rejection letters from the like, actually botany's a serious science and you can't do it because you're a woman.
Oh, yeah.
And all that sort of story. And then it's like, well, I guess you can come along as like an assistant on this one, and then little photos of you from then.
Oh, yeah.
You're picking up on this what ends up being like a really nice, like beautiful story with a sweet ending with some like pretty decent puzzles along the way.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a bright, colorful, pretty looking game.
Mm-hmm.
And as you walk around this manor, you get a new sort of outline stenciled in your journal of the next type of flower, what it should look like, and some empty clue slots.
Okay.
And you're walking around finding maybe a painting of this flower where it is in a certain situation that is conducive to it growing, or maybe there's a table of like environmental conditions in different locations, and then another piece of paper somewhere else that says what place the flower is from. And so you might be setting a thermostat to be at the right temperature in the area where you're going to try and grow the flower. So it's a series of them. I don't remember how many, but about 3 hours worth of these different plants that you're trying to get to grow by, you know, setting up levers in the right order or whatever to make the correct growing environments for these different flowers. Nice enough little puzzles, nothing too taxing, but you know, some fun ones of like a nice variety of them and a nice range of different tasks you've got to do for them, and sort of a bit of a maze thing going on as you find your way through the manor and get different keys to go into different rooms. I really enjoyed it for what it is. Like the play it in one afternoon Game Pass game is just a sweet little treat. And I really liked the sort of different setting and the way the story was told in this. I thought was really well done. Like the ending fully got me. Hooting and hollering.
Wow.
And
slapping your thigh. A real thigh slapper.
A real what would the equivalent of like misty-eyed hooting and hollering be? I guess just misty-eyed. But
sobbing and wailing.
Sobbing and blubbering all over the place like I'd just seen a sad Jessica Rabbit. My eyes turning to like wet dollars.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just
Soggy
a
money.
waterfall coming out of your eyes, and there's like a little dolphin in there, a couple of crabs. Yeah.
A rainbow coming out. Yeah. It was great. I really loved it. It was
Cool.
Sweet and simple, but
Sweet and
really
sour.
enjoyable. And look, I've played a lot of these types of puzzle games.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to bet that other people might have a bit more question marks popping up over their head. Worth having a crack of.
Nice.
Like
Yeah,
a
cool.
different, unique kind of little thing, even though it's in quite a familiar type of game.
What art style are we looking at here?
Just sort of a half cartoony, very bright and colourful, flat shaded sort of looking thing.
Okay.
But the plants are really nice, and there's a lot of plants around the place.
Right.
But nothing too looking a bit like The Witness, I guess. That sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Blue skies, a lovely English garden.
Oh, yeah.
Really enjoyed it. Like, recommend anyone who's got a PC or an Xbox to. It might be on other stuff too. I just know it was on Game Pass. I think it's on Steam at least. I don't know if it's on other consoles. But one of those perfect Game Pass ones where you can just have a crack of this, and you'll know by that evening if you've played it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really worth having a wiggle of. I enjoyed myself.
That
playing
sounds good.
Yeah.
Botany Manor.
Botany Bay.
Botany Manor. Sitting atop Botany Bay.
If I had a
They're originally going to call it Shark Manor.
Oh,
Yeah, now that's a game.
Oh, yeah. Botany Bay would be like a dating sim where you do flower stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, different people like different flowers, and then you cut out their organs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, the game that I've been playing all week
Really ate up a lot of your time?
ate up a lot of my time, my life. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
sorry.
And also heavily flower focused.
What?
Oh, yeah.
If you can believe that.
I'm going to take some convincing.
In fact, you could call this game Robotany Manor.
Now, if you were to do that, you'd
okay.
have to be a genius, so I think it's unlikely.
All right.
You certainly wouldn't have been thinking about it for the last 6 minutes, just ready to leap. I've been playing a game called Chibi-Robo Park Patrol.
Okay.
Chibi-Robo is... it might well be the very bottom rung Nintendo IP. I think they've made 4 of them. And I believe that they have said they will never make another one because they've all sold quite badly.
That's a hardline stance.
I remember Chibi-Robo coming out. Like, it was a GameCube game originally, right?
GameCube, the first one's GameCube, pretty well received. This second one that I've been playing is the DS,
Right.
also well received. There's a third one, I think, on the 3DS that like mixes it up. It's about taking photos. It's kind of like different format.
Okay.
People okay on it, not as crash hot. And then I think the fourth one, the most recent one, also 3DS, is a platformer, I
Right.
believe.
2D?
2D platformer.
Right. That's
Called
one of them
Ziplash.
organ calendar games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Chibi-Robo Ziplash.
Ziplash. And they made an amiibo of him to tie into that game. So
remember
that
that
was the
amiibo.
last one, I think, where they were really going, guys, we really got to get this cunt to take off.
Yeah.
And that game is apparently not very good. And
Right.
Chibi-Robo and like Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg live in the same place in my head, where they both kind of came out and no one gave a fuck.
Right.
Yeah, but he...
the attempted mascot character.
In the years since, though, people are like, nah, they were actually fun.
Right.
I think also, it is sort of still in that era where something might get a bit more traction in Japan and it's seen as being a bit, Japanese specific and like, so this game that I've been playing, the DS one,
Paw Patrol.
Park Patrol.
Okay.
Thank you. This
That's
isn't
where the
for
Paw-
babies.
Paw Patrol goes to piss there, though. So you're in
Yeah.
Paw Patrol's toilet.
Nice.
Paw Patrol's for babies. This is for slightly older babies.
About 10?
This
10 years old?
this in the States, this only ever came out in Walmart. It was a Walmart exclusive for some reason. So didn't really get the sales that they wanted, which is going to happen when you only put it for sale at one shop.
I remember when I was a kid, I loved Beast Wars Transformers, and on the backs of the packets, you get the other ones that were in the series or whatever, or like a little booklet with like, here's what else you could convince your parents to get you. And there were often Walmart exclusive rat traps and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
different versions of different. And I was always so jealous of the Americans and their Walmarts.
Yeah.
For a video game, putting it in one shop, and this is an era where there's no eShop, so there's no like, and then going, it didn't really sell as well as we would have liked.
Yeah.
Oh, really? But anyway, so Chibi-Robo, he's a little silver guy, little robot.
He's a chibi version of a robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Looks
this
like one of them bullet vibrators.
Okay.
That doesn't help me because I've never seen Chibi-Robo and I don't know what that looks like.
Why don't you get your damn phone out and have a little plug into images.google.com.
Bullet vibrator.
This is another game from the wonderful genre of little fella in a big world.
Yeah.
Your Pikmins.
Oh yeah.
Your Tinykins.
Yep.
You're
the borrowers.
Your some Counter-Strike maps.
Oh
Yeah.
Your micro machine.
Yes.
Your micro machines.
I looked up Chubby Robin and it's not showing me anything.
But you have fat birds?
Yeah.
Let me have a look.
Oh, hell
adorable.
yes.
Look at those guys.
You've got to
Yeah.
make that the image for the episode.
Okay, gladly. I'll save this one. That's a fat little Robin.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah.
You saw one of them on your windowsill in the morning?
Oh,
you
what a
feel like a goddamn princess.
beautiful
and then
start
you
to the
accidentally
day.
slam the window. No!
You know how hard it is to be a bird that gets fat?
Yeah.
Well, for a robin.
For a chubby robin?
A lot of berries around.
Yeah, that's true.
If you start walking with the eyes of a bird in your head, you'll notice a lot of shit you can
But
eat.
if you're flapping, that's good exercise, don't
Yeah.
you think?
Surely.
Yeah.
You must be like, I guess you don't see any like obese pigeons and they walk a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, okay. I'm looking at Chibi-Robo.
That's brought you back down to earth, hasn't it?
Yep. He's just a little...
He's a little guy.
Little tin robot
He's a
guy.
little guy.
He looks like a leckhead a little bit.
He
like
does.
Yeah.
He does.
So you're a little robot and you've been sent out to a park that is just barren. It's
Oh.
like few dirt patches, a lot of sand, rocks, just kind of nothing growing there. Mm-hmm. And your task is to rebuild this park. Get it all back to being green, get flowers going on in there. So what you're doing is you got your little ship that you're in, that's your little home base, and you've got a little limited battery that is slowly running out every time you do stuff. And you use more battery when you're walking on the dirt. And you've also got like a day cycle that you've got to like return to your base at night.
Right.
So when you come out of your little base, you can turn left and go to the park, or you can turn right and go into the city.
Man, this is exactly my life. I've got a limited battery for each day.
Yep.
When I come out of my house, I can turn left and go to the park.
That's true.
Turn right and go to the city.
Yep. Okay. Let's see how many more similarities there are.
All right.
So you go in and basically each this park is divided up into like little blocks of the dirt that will have a couple of flower buds in it, and you go up to one of the flower buds and you can either you've got a little thing of water that you use to water the little buds and make them grow into a flower.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
There's flowers of all different colours. If the flowers are the pink ones, you've got like a little boom box where you can bring it out and play some music, and then that flower will sprout a bunch of buds that kind of go flying across the park.
You're always playing really loud music out of your phone on public transport. I've
Yeah.
seen you do that all the time.
Yeah.
Bomb Funk MC is getting a huge run on the Hurstbridge line from Ben Vanel.
Yeah, on the Bluetooth speaker. I actually take a Bluetooth speaker.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, to make sure it's really loud.
Not when you've got a limited battery. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You've been charging up a speaker all day.
Yeah.
So to start with, this is your little loop is watering these buds to make them grow. If it's a certain color, playing the music to the flower to make it send out
Propagate.
more buds.
This is very
yeah.
Botany Manor.
Yeah.
Wow.
So each little patch of dirt, once it's got a certain number of flowers on it, it'll turn green, and then that bit is done. And you've got basically,
Right.
I don't know how many it is, but it's a pretty big park. So you're
Right.
hoping to kind of stretch all the way out and get this all built up. If you go into, you're also like from planting the plants, you're getting little happy points that when you
Okay.
go back into your base to recharge your battery, the happy points are being converted into juice that you are using
That's how it
to
works with me as well.
Yeah.
you are using that to recharge your battery.
Yep.
And you're also using that as currency to get onto a little computer and buy things.
Nice.
So
Nice little like better boom boxes and shit like that.
So you've got little every. It kind of varies. Every 30 to 50 or so flowers that you plant, like a new item will show up in the shop.
Right.
So you'll get like a bigger battery.
Yeah.
And then you also get little things that you can put in the park, such as, so like a big chunk of it when you get there is sand which flowers don't grow in, so you've got to till it and turn it into soil.
Right.
Some of them have big chunks of rocks. You need to get them taken out. You can put paths around the park because walking on paths uses up less battery than walking across the dirt. You unlock a little car that you can drive around in. And then when you go into... You can also pick some of the flowers. You can go into town and sell them to the flower shop, which get you way more of your little happy points than planting the flowers. So if you want to like rack up.
Yeah.
And you also, in town, you find these little... Basically, they're like little different versions of little toys that become your friends that you then send out to work for you. So when you're like tilling the sand and like, putting in like a swing or a windmill or whatever... They're the little guys that you're sending out to do that for you.
Right.
So you're managing your time when you're out doing your little tasks. You're managing your resources, like your like, you know, your energy that you're using to buy these things. And then you've also got your little guys that you're sending out to do stuff for. So you're kind of doing your little tasks. You're also making sure that you've got you're converting enough of the rest of the park into soil so that it's ready for you to go in and like plant these flowers when the time comes. You also, at a certain point, it introduces, there's like this guy who's this like bad guy. He's like this robot who's like just wants the park polluted. He's like, what's this little fucking robot doing? I ruined this park. Look at it. It's beautiful.
Okay.
And now he's here rebuilding it. This is bullshit. Smoglings attack. And so he sends out these little... So you'll get up in the morning at the start of the day and you'll get on your computer and it'll show you a forecast of when the smoglings are going to appear, how heavy the smogling... So you might have a clear day where it's like... And so the smoglings kind of roam around the park and you've got to go and take them out. And if they go to your flowers, they fuck them up.
Right.
So if you've got a day where it's forecast for none of them, you go, okay, cool, I can go into the city today and get stuff done that I need to in there because the park is safe. Or you might get up and it's like heavy forecast of smoglings. I can go and I can plant my little flowers and do my little things in there. But I got to be on high alert because these little bastards... So you'll get like a little thing where a little alarm will start sounding and then you got to look on your map and see where they are and chase them down and kick their fucking asses.
Nice.
But it's great. It's that style of, it's kind of, I guess, like Animal Crossing-y, sort of like...
Upkeep management.
Time, resource management, but it's got this like really just great art style. Like the sound design is so unique. Like all of the sound effects for things are like just all kind of off and like sort of like the wrong sound effect, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like not what you would expect for like... Even just the sound of him running around is like a different weird little sound. All of your little like menu selection things are all these like, weird little noises that are like, that's kind of the, like when you're doing your little boombox stuff, it's playing a little song. And the way that you're controlling the boombox is, because this is a DS game, on the bottoms, on the touch screen, it's like a turntable and you're using the stylus and you've got to like turn the turntable at the correct speed. And there's like different songs that you've all got to play at a different speed.
Right.
And you've got to get like if it's off, you won't get scored high enough and it like nothing happens. So you've got to like get, I think, over like 70 or whatever. Most things are controlled with the touch screen. So you're like, when you're spraying the water, you're like flicking the stylus up and down to like kind of pump a little like water jet at the buds. It's great. It's like, it just is that thing of you getting into that rhythm of like, it truly is a life eater in the sense of like, okay, I'll do one little last rotation and then you're like, I've unlocked I've got a bigger battery now. So maybe I'll just have one more round because I can like get a bit further and I'm just about to get that little patch of dirt to all turn green with all the little flowers I've put in, and just like slowly seeing the map just kind of turn into like, you're also unlocking like utilities and different things to put in the park, like that are just, some are just like cosmetic and fun. Like you've got like, you can put like a trampoline in there that then you can go on, and if you can, do like you can get on there and like do tricks and stuff, which will earn you happy points and stuff. And so just like unlocking all these different things and like putting them in the park and seeing how it all kind of takes shape. It's like, it just becomes so addictive and like, it's got such a great style to it. And I'd really recommend it. It's such a neat... I love the like design of him and the world and the whole vibe and aesthetic of it is so cool. And like, I was kind of playing this thinking like, this really feels right for something that they would remaster and re-release at some point. But I also think that they've just been kind of burnt too many times by putting out Chibi-Robo games and people not taking to it. So I think he's maybe done. So I'd
he's
really
buried in that park.
Yeah.
He's buried in that park. I'd really recommend hunting this out if you've got a DS because it's great. It's a really, really fun game, and it's a shame that it's kind of just been a little franchise that's been glossed over. And I think the first one I think is sort of similar to this, but you're in a house. You're sort of doing stuff. You're doing chores around the house.
Screenshots being very house.
But this is similar sort of thing.
Few lorries in Chibi-Robo.
Ooh.
I think it's a similar sort of mechanic to this, even though it's in a house. And then the other two are, I think completely different sort of pivot. But yeah, really, really enjoying it. Just kind of always meant to engage with one of them. Was looking up, which was the seen as one of the best ones, and went in on this. Just thought I'd sort of probably get bored of it pretty quickly, but it's really, really hooked me in. And I'm just like, I'm going to end up rebuilding this whole fucking park. And I'll tell you what, getting that final screen of seeing the whole damn thing, God, it's going to feel good.
Chibi-Robo Park Patrol.
Chibi-Robo Park Patrol.
Yeah.
Head on down to Walmart and pick it up.
Well, I headed on down to Walmart recently, and I picked up a game that it's pretty much being heralded by, I think, most critics as the best game of the year so far.
Yeah, there's a weird... The critical response has been more positive than the player response in some ways.
Right. And I am surprised that Final Fantasy Rebirth was not necessarily unanimously beloved.
I think it's a PS5 of it.
Yeah.
It's not as accessible.
It's not as accessible as, apparently, Dragon's Dogma 2. That is what I've been playing. I've been playing a fair bit of it. I was kind of skeptical, and we read some of those stories. I certainly you'd already played it, Nox, so maybe you weren't as put off by it. But some of the microtransaction stuff, and I was like, I don't know about this, but went in after I finished. And I finished Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Oh yeah.
Oh, mummy, you've buried the lead here.
Yeah, I keep forgetting to talk about. I finished it weeks ago.
Damn. We shouldn't talk about it now, but the ending and stuff.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved the game all the way through. I think that just what it's doing with its story is very strange and unique.
I agree completely, and very much there's a third one coming, so whatever's going to happen, the proof will be in the third pudding, which surely will still be delicious.
That's right. The day after Boxing Day, you have your third Christmas pudding. Oh, it's so rich. But that's for another day. Dragon's Dogma 2 went in on, and I'm really enjoying it. It is, as you said at the time, Nox, it is a very unique game in the way it approaches a lot of its mechanics and systems. It feels very much like a game from 10 plus years ago in a lot of ways. And I'd heard other people sort of who'd had more experience with the first one be like, it's just a remake of the first one.
Yeah.
And having played half an hour of that first one ages ago, I can see that. But it looks fucking beautiful, and I think that does a lot of heavy lifting in for me in getting me over that initial hump of why do these systems work this way?
Yeah.
But love the character creator, which is something that you can just do, I guess, right? You can download that separately.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if you want to see what kind of shit you'll be working with, you can give that a crank.
Uh-huh.
I made myself a little lion man and sent him out into the world. And it's fun. It's a very traditional, in some ways, RPG. It's hey, big open world, bunch of quests, main quest, go over here, go over there, go over there. But then the combat is, I think, both simplistic you can boil it down to just block.
There's a
attack.
lot of press and square,
yeah, block, attack. There's no dodge, so it's.
Well, there's no dodge in your fighter class.
Oh, yeah. Bitch.
Different classes play very differently, which is one of the cool things that you probably haven't messed around with yet, because I did a similar thing where I got the fighter to level 10 before messing around, or the 10th skill rank or whatever.
Right, yes. But yeah, you can... There are a bunch of weird currencies that are all just normal game currencies of something points.
I think your happy points.
Yeah, your happy points let you unlock skills and then classes.
Yeah.
And then you have friendly points that
like
help
your
you buy pawns.
dedication or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. It's DC? DCPs?
Yeah, there's some sort...
something class points, I guess,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
Different class points. But that's, so you unlock skills that are either like attacks or sort of passive skills that you can activate or deactivate as you wish.
And those ones you can assign between classes too. So when you unlock them from one class, like there'll be things like plus 10% HP or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you can still attach that to a class that doesn't have that as its unlock, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then
you guys mocking the concept of happy points in Chibi-Robo and then talking very earnestly about their systems in Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yeah.
That's gaming, baby. This one's for babies and is stupid, and then this one is for real men.
Yeah.
Rift points are for adults, which
yes.
they're your ones you get the pawns with and stuff like that.
Yeah, and so pawns are just your companion characters. Like in another game, you'd just spend some gold and you'd hire them, and then they'd get killed, and you'd have to buy a new one. This you are basically hiring ones out of the Rift, which are all made by people. Almost,
there's
some
some
of them.
Capcom pre-made ones, yeah.
That's true, and it says like this was made by Capcom or this was made by Fucky Sucky 69.
You made your own one.
But then you also have your unique one that you make at the start of the game that is your permanent sort of companion. And all of that stuff is great. That system works really well. You'll pick up a couple of shitty ones at the start, but then you'll be like, I've got a bunch of friend points. I'll go in and hire one that's a higher level and figure out, often my companions all say, you have a very balanced party with all skills and requirements covered.
I love the shit they say to you because it's so goofy and but the gossipy ones who are like, I traveled once with someone who had all women in his party. I don't know if he was doing it deliberately, but it was a little. And so much of fucking running past the same ladder again and again. They're like, look, a ladder. We best make good use of it. By climbing it. What do you mean make good use?
We might discover something up there.
You sounded like you were doing a Ween song before, Ben. You have a very balanced party.
Yeah, they're all Ween. They're all members of the band Ween. But that's cool, and that is something that you don't really even have to think that much about. Certainly, once I had an archer and a mage and a whatever, I was like, cool, I've got my bases covered. You want to have someone who can cure you with a healing spell.
Yeah.
But that's about as in depth as you need to go to play the game. And then aside from that, there's quests and you're earning money and you're earning experience, and a lot of the time you're literally being like, okay, there's a place on the other side of the map. There's no way for me to get there. Like the ox cart doesn't go to that town, so I'm fucking walking there, and it's dangerous, and the enemies are pretty challenging a lot of the time.
All over the place,
They're all over the fucking place, and there will be a little band of goblins that throw fire at you, or there'll be some lizard men, and then occasionally, a dragon will land on the hill and start to attack you, and you can run away, or you can have a go, or an ogre will just be around the corner, or a griffin will, there's a lot of that stuff, that emergent feeling stuff is very cool. And the scale of those enemies is very impressive.
Yeah. They're so big and physical feeling.
Yeah.
They whack you when you go flying or you're climbing around on them. It's sick. Even though it is simple, at the archer class, you are shooting, and you've got a big shot maneuver.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But there's something about the feel of it that elevates it above just square.
Yeah, and because you will take, as you take damage throughout your little expeditions, your maximum health will drop over time, over the day. And so you'll be looking for a camp, because that's the only place that you make a camp. You have to have a little camp kit with you, which you do from the start, and you can find better ones. And then you stay over the night there, replenish your health, and you can go back out there. So it's not Souls-like at all, but it has a level of threat and danger that you kind of have to be managing the whole time as well while you're exploring, which just makes the whole experience a bit more tense and feel like a challenge.
It feels like a journey, right?
Yeah, yes.
It's a cool way of doing that. It took me a while until I realized I could cook at those camps too, because you just got to turn around and press X at the fire. And,
right.
the cooking is so weird that it's just real life meat being cooked in a video.
Yeah.
But it's so fun, right?
Yeah, it's very fun. I really enjoy it. There's a lot about it that is like, the porn saying like the same lines over and over again is a bit. It feels like a throwback, which only feels that way to me because I played old games where there was like 2 lines.
It's quirky in those sorts of ways, but like in a pretty endearing way for the most part.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of stiffness to how it controls, I feel like, and that sort of thing, but none of it is like super off-putting. I want to play some more of it again.
Yeah.
Muck around with some other classes too, because they all play pretty differently.
Yeah. And I've not noticed any of that microtransaction stuff.
Right.
I have noticed that it's hard to fast travel, which is annoying, but I'm also like, okay, but when I play this game, I'm going to expect to go for a big walk.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, that's part of
it. It's such a part of the design of this game in particular. Yeah, like if you didn't know it was there, you wouldn't. The microtransaction stuff.
It's something like Tears of the Kingdom when you sit down to play it and you're like, for whatever reason, you don't have a ton of time and you're like, oh, I want to do this, I'll just fast travel there. You really do feel like you're kind of shortchanging yourself in a game like that. You know, you're like, the environment's the part of it, the like getting from A to B and getting on your horse and taking all that time.
I will say with this game, I probably played 30-something hours of it-ish, maybe up to 40 before I kind of paused. And it was getting somewhat repetitive.
Right.
At that point, there were a few times where I was like, fuck, I know exactly how the next 2 hours are going to go.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's fun to do still, but you lose a bit of that wilderness feeling once you're retreading the same ground multiple times. But you do have some options, like you get enough of those fast travel stones.
Right.
Maybe not enough of the fast travel points at times. And there are some quests that are a little obscure of like, you know, the elf guy who's standing near the weapon shop is like, damn, these are some pretty good weapons.
Yeah.
He gives you a quest if you talk to him.
Maybe.
Stuff like that where I didn't necessarily just think to talk to everyone. He seemed like just a guy. But then his one will make you go out and back and out and back and out and back several times.
Yeah, right.
Stuff like that. It's not huge.
And some of them are more like, you got to do this thing for this person, and then they'll be like, come back in 2 days.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, okay. And then you come back in 2 days, and they're like, can you go do this other thing for me, and then wait another day, and then I'll give you a reward, maybe.
Yeah. And you can just sit on a bench and wait 2 days really easily.
Yeah,
It's not a huge imposition. It's just, it's so built with this, like, mindset from the ground up of, like, not making it a simulation, but trying to make it feel like that type of fantasy.
Yeah.
Where travel takes a while and things are dangerous out there.
And and there's always stuff happening. So if you get that quest where the guy's like, come back tomorrow, then it's like, oh, well, I'll go do this other thing and I'll come back tomorrow when I've had a sleep.
Yeah.
So, it's a very specific, like, it's odd in how specific it is when on the surface it's like, fighters and archers and, goblins.
It's weird, right? Because it's both. It's like super straightforward and simple in some ways and so full of personality and quirk and whatever to it that it is also very unique. Yeah, I agree.
But give it a crack if it seems appealing. Because if that does hit for you, that the loop that it's giving you, it's very Moorish. Like, I've found it very easy to sink a lot of hours into.
And it looks good. Have you been like noticing the performance and stuff of it? Like it.
Yeah, there's some slowdowns and some hitches in the towns and stuff, or like when there's a shit ton of enemies jump off a hill and launch themselves at you.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not super bothered by that stuff. And then most of the time, it's very smooth and looks amazing.
Yeah, and we were playing PS3 games back in the day, man.
Yeah.
We were in the fucking trenches, dude.
For the scale that it gives you, and like, there's like a bit, I think it's like a very, probably one of the earlier like set piece things of like you walk into this big valley and it's a big battleground and it's covered in fucking ruins and there's dragons and shit.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, wow, this is huge. And like, it's a living, breathing environment that I then run into and then climb up here. Like, it's just it's worth, I think, some performance issues for the scope of what it's presenting.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is very cool.
It's cool. It's like noticeable, but I didn't find it like
game breaking
to play.
Yeah.
It's a cool game. I'm going to play more of Dragon's Dogma 2 soon.
Nice.
Cool.
That's my plan.
Well, that's going to do us for another week. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Check out filthycasuals.com.au for all the stuff we've got going on. Get on the Patreon. You get a bonus show every week. Different hour of content from us in the inbox.
Yeah.
We've got the YouTube channel, heaps of stuff on there, hundreds and hundreds of videos for you to check out.
Go
of
watch
us
us
playing games.
play Content Warning.
Yeah.
Well, we did some funny stuff with the viral video game.
Yeah.
We'll do more of them soon, I'm sure.
And
we
Maybe
put
not that, but something else or whatever.
Yeah. And we put video episodes of this up.
Free country.
Yeah.
Oh, and we refuse to ever play Helldivers 2.
Yeah, I don't know. We just seem to have missed the boat on it, and I don't know. It's not.
Yeah.
Right. It seems to have had a lot of staying power.
Yeah, we genuinely might get around to it. It's just been
Yeah.
one of those things came at a weird time, and I know people have requested it, but it just sort of flew under our radar, and our radars are focused on other things at the moment.
But the more you request it, the less likely we are to play it.
It's honestly more interesting as a bit now to just
Yeah.
refuse to do it. I
Exactly.
think at this point,
Yeah.
then finally put it up and get 8 views on the video.
I won't play it.
I anticipate enjoying playing it a lot.
Yeah, I think we'll have a good time. I think we'll regret not playing it sooner.
However, I'm more committed to the bit.
Yeah, we got the video episodes of this as well on the YouTube. If you'd like to watch the show,
You've got to
do
check out Tommy's beanie. You've got to get on the YouTube, watch this episode, and check out Tommy's beanie.
My
If
orange
you like
beanie.
orange,
You're
Well, have
in
I
for
got
it.
the beanie for you? Thanks very much for listening. We'll see you next time, as we say here at the end of every episode of Filthy Casuals.
hey, have you met my mate Chibi-Robo?
Oh, yeah, fucking good, eh?